What made you decide to do this, to start building a community online?
It was organic. So the podcast was about a year old when I suggested that I host a networking event in London, because I was like, I'm having great conversations with loads of people who listen to the podcast. I'm having great conversations on the podcast, and I'm just having them myself. And actually, magic would happen if these women that I'm talking to could all talk to each other and all meet each other and share their experiences. So I said, shall I do a networking? People said yes, sold tickets really quickly. So it was about 40 people in a room in Liverpool Street. And it was as magic as I had thought it would be. It was a great atmosphere. People loved talking to each other. They were really energized by it. And after the event, they were like, can we all have access to each other? Like, can we have a list of everyone that was there? And from a GDPR point of view, I was like, no. And also, okay, maybe there's something in this. You know, I was in other communities and I was like, could I turn this into a community? Bearing in mind, I'm not monetizing the podcast. I'm doing odds and sods of work for other people, but it's not like driving me. Could I launch a paid for subscription-based community that is low cost and no pressure, so it's accessible for these women? So the first event was in March, and by the second event in June, I used that to launch the community. And I got 75 members in that launch, which was unbelievable because I was aiming for 50, but that felt quite outlandish. And to get to that and then just grow it from there was amazing, because it just brought more brilliant women into my world and into each other's worlds and allowed me to connect the dots between them, facilitate these conversations. So yeah, it happened organically off the back of events, and events had been my corporate career. So there was this kind of really healing, hearkening back to the world that I had left, and I had left being completely out of love with events, finding them really, really draining, to doing events on my terms, you know, between school runs, during the day, and with people that I wanted to hang out with in a short burst. And it was just like, yeah, quite a nice full circle moment.
It's this idea of chapters closing. So I think when we decide we're going to leave whatever job we had before and we're going to start a business, it can feel like quite a hard boundary between the two. And actually, when it starts to converge and you start to bring in all the skills that you've built at every stage, you know, for you, whether it was events, working in the corporate world, whether it was building the clothing brand, having to shut that down, all the lessons, and even motherhood, you know, everything, you're picking up skills all the time in motherhood. You know, your productivity levels are off the scale. You have such clarity, I think, as a mum, because you have such limited time. So you can be hyper focused, and all of these things, if you can bring them together and you just feel like there's this convergence of everything you've done before, I imagine, I'm not quite there, I feel like that must make you feel really aligned, like it all makes sense.
It does, and it took a long time to get to that point, and I genuinely don't think I have felt more like that until the last few months. Because even after I launched the community, and that felt really great, I wasn't completely clear on who I was online and what I was talking about, you know, because was I talking about community building, or was I talking about being a sort of feminist founder and my feminist ideals? Or was I talking about the sort of wilder ethos of my business and building a business that suits you and finding my voice and confidence online and being able to grow in that space? And I don't just mean grow in terms of numbers, which is helpful from a funnel point of view, but also grow personally in terms of what I'm talking about and what I'm learning and what I'm sharing. That has all felt really, really good over the last few months.
And do you feel like it's easier now?
Yeah. And do you know what's so fascinating is that my word of the year for this year was easeful. And I chose that word because easeful is different to easy, right? I didn't want it to feel easy, but I wanted it to feel easeful, aligned, meant, natural. And I don't think it has felt easeful until the latter part of this year. But I feel like I will close out the year being like, yes, I didn't do the whole year on Easeful, but I closed it out in an easeful place, and it took the year to get there. Because yes, is the short answer. Yes, I do feel that because the work that I'm doing and what I'm putting out there feels like the ideas keep coming to me, it feels aligned. Then when I do put it out there, it resonates, it spreads, it grows. That will give me another idea. And so it's just like a positive snowball that does make the whole thing feel more easeful. And I hadn't actually reflected on that until just now, even though I have the word easeful up on the board in front of me that I look at every single day. So I'm actually really glad you asked me that question, because it's given me a lovely moment of reflection.